Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's LuxpowerTek webinar, Unlocking the Power of the LuxpowerTek app and Web Monitoring. Just a few quick items before we get going today. During the webinar, all attendees will be muted for best audio quality. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type in your questions. Those will be monitored. This webinar will be recorded and shared with all of you within a few days. And it is my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Andy Daniels. Andy is the head of LuxpowerTek South Africa, bringing 8 years of expertise in the solar and energy storage industries. Based in South Africa, he also serves as technical manager, overseeing business development and service operations across South Africa and other English speaking markets. Without further ado, I'll pass it over to Andy to get us started. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you very much, Tatum, and I wish you all a good morning. Thank you to Charge Solar for having me as a panelist. And it certainly is a pleasure to be speaking to all of you today. So today we're going to be covering a specific topic. I believe there are going to be three such sessions that we'll be doing over. One is today, and then I think we've got two in November. But today in particular, we're going to be looking at the web app and let's bring this up. So we're going to be looking at the account creation, and I just want to move some things around here. Okay, so we're going to be looking at account creation via the web, account creation via the app, and different account permission limits. We're just going to be doing an overview of that. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with LuxPower, so I'm just going to give a very brief overview. As you know, LuxPower is an international company. It's a brand that is started out of China, and the product is distributed worldwide. And today we're going to be focusing particularly on the North American market, and in particular focused to Canada. So LuxPower manufactures a range of hybrid and eco-hybrid inverters, which we distribute worldwide through our various distributors, and Charge Solar being one of them. And for the North American market, we produce the two popular products that we're doing in there is the LXP, the 12, which is a split phase machine, as well as the eco hybrids. So today, for those of you who have already started selling them, and for those of you who are new to this, to LuxPower, I'll be going through how you go about creating an account via the web. We will also look at an overview of how you do this via the app, and then we will look at the different account permission limits, and we'll just do that via an overview. So without further ado, let's get going. All right, so account creation via the web. So this little infographic here shows you exactly how our server protocol works. So right on the top here, you will see we have LuxPower, and that is the particular server. So we have a number of servers around the world, and you guys will be focusing or registering all of your sites on the North American server. So we've got one in North America, we've got in Europe, we've got in Africa, and then we have two in Asia. So how the server works is that if you can imagine a pigeonhole, right? So every time you create or you register an account, it's literally creating an address on the server. And the minute the dongle, which is supplied with the machine, is paired with the Wi-Fi, then the dongle will start reporting and dropping information in that little pigeonhole in the server. So LuxPower being at the top of the pyramid here, we have the ability at a monitor and a maintain level or an admin level, we can see everything that is created downstream of us. So the monitoring portal, even though it is bidirectional, in other words, that where you can send information to it and you can ping information from the server, the protocol works in such a way that it is downward looking. So in other words, whoever is above or on top of the pyramid can see everything below. And so on the next level down here, we will have a distributor like Charge Solar, for instance. Charge cannot see any of Lux Power's other distributor accounts, but they can see all the accounts that are associated with them or who were created below them. So pretty much like a pyramid scheme. So you'll have Charge here. Now, Charge can create, they can create a sub-distributor account where they can have, for instance, you might have another business or location in another area within Canada where you are selling to, and you want to bring them up to a distributor level as well. You can create a sub-distributor account like this, and then each one of those accounts can have an installer and an end user. But I'm going to focus on this particular level here. So the Charge Solar or the distributor one, let's call it distributor one, you can have your distributor level account, and then within your organization, you can have a number of individuals. It's limitless how many individuals you can have inside there who have assistant accounts. In other words, so for instance, if you have the head of operations, he has the login to the company account. He can create assistant accounts, and which gives each one of them a username and a password. And the reason this is important for us is because our system keeps a record of everybody that's logged into the system and worked on a particular station. So at some point in time, if anybody needs to know who did updates or who did system change or station changes or monitoring changes or setting changes to a station, you can simply log into the account and you can have a look under the maintain section. You'll be able to look at who did that. So it's very important that not just one person has a unique login. Each person should have their own. In other words, no shared passwords or logins, right? So at distributor level, you have the main account, and then each person that works on that level will have an assistant account. So from a distributor level, you can now, like I said, you can open up distributor accounts in the same city or in another city or wherever the case may be. And these guys will also have the ability to have assistants and installers below them. The nice thing about this is that the reason why we allow this to happen is because distributor access has got a different level of permissions compared to what installers have, and I will show you that a little bit later in the presentation. So from a distributor, you have your sub-distributors, you have your assistants, you have installers, installer assistants, and end users. Now, installer assistant works exactly the same as the assistant on the distributor level, obviously with limited viewing rights. Now, the reason we do this for exactly the same reason, so that each person has their own individual and unique login, and so that the system can keep a record, an accurate record of who logged in, how they logged in, and what changes they made. Our survey is able to keep a record of whether you logged in on the web portal or whether you logged in via the app, the mobile app. So it's quite handy to have because it keeps a set record of everything that's been done. And all of this information is stored in the cloud at the server level. So none of the information that you do or any changes that you make to the machine, it's stored on the unit itself. So even if the unit is damaged or it comes in for repairs, or if the CPU is wiped, the data stays registered to the serial number at the server level. Okay, so and then obviously here we show a little cascade down. So distributor one, so here you have Charge, they've got a little distributor in another town, and he's even created another sub-distributor. But on every level, you can have installers and you can have end users. So this end user here won't be able to see that end user's account, but this installer will be able to see all of his end users that are below him, right? And then likewise down here. So as long as you connect to P3, you'll be able to view from the top down, you'll be able to see the end user account. And the nice thing about that is it increases your, I wouldn't say your accuracy, but it increases your service level. So if one individual is not available, there are other individuals within the organization which are available to offer service and tech support. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. As a distributor, like I said, you have the privilege to create distributor 2 accounts for your downstream partners within your own account. And the important thing here is that when you create a distributor account, each sub-distributor and each installer will get a unique installer code, because the way our system works is that the end user account is linked up the chain via their dongle. So the dongle is the key to the chain going all the way up. And without installer codes, we cannot complete that chain. So it's very important for distributors that when you have a new installer that is starts with your organization or that signs on, it's very important that the admin person within your organization creates a unique installer account for them. And if we have some time, I'm going to take you through all of that. So here we're going to look at how to create a distributor account. I'm going to move this down here. Create a sub-distributor account. So in this section here, you can see that you have two options. You have the option of creating an assistant. You've got a sub-distributor account, installer, and an end user. So you simply just click the right button, and then you can follow through with the information. Now, the nice thing about doing this is it will take you to another page where you physically have to create a username, a unique username, and a unique password. It also asks you to repeat the password, and you basically just populate the entire page here and make sure that every request or every line here with an asterisk next to it, that is critical information that we must have. The system will not allow you to proceed to the next page until you have fulfilled the information within the block right here. Some of it, like for instance, here we have nickname, it'll allow you to skip that, telephone number and address. But this is quite important here. This is the important one, the installer code. So when you create an installer code, remember I said that it is a cascading effect. So from each level down, the handshake is via an installer code. And I always make a joke with my installers and distributors. Once we issue them with an installer code, go out and get a tattoo made. You can tattoo it on your hand, because every time you do an installation, you're going to need that code, because that code is what links your customer through you to the server. Now, another handy thing to note is that when you're creating an installer code, as well as the username and password, try and create a protocol or a mandate. Create a mandate for your organization where you know that this is how we do it. For instance, within our organization, what we do is when we create an installer code, we simply use an acronym of the company, of the business name. So I will use Charge Solar as an example. So we will make it CHG. And we will put numericals behind it, 001, something like that. And it's all in caps. So it follows the same protocol. We've seen some distributors create installer accounts that are multiple words, like Bob's Electrical Services and Plumbing. My God. Think about that. Whenever he does an installation, he's got to remember what his installer code is at the installation process. And if he gets one space or one letter wrong, and then it doesn't work. So try and simplify it as best you can. What we do is, you don't have to do this, but what we do is we use an acronym, alphanumeric, and it works all the time. And we do the same thing for our usernames and passwords. We try and simplify it so that it's a unique standard, because guess what? You do get customers who forget what their username is, they forget what their password is, or they even forget their installer code. So if you might be out at the lake fishing, or you might be doing something, and one of your good customers calls you and they ask you what this installer code is because he's forgotten it. You may just be able to remember it because you have a standard protocol that you use, but that's just a trick that I use. So here you can see that we have criteria that needs to be fulfilled when you're doing the installer code. So the username has got to be which we create here, and you'll find that once you create the username here, the application process is a live process. So as you're typing in the username here, the minute you've entered it, or you jump to the next field, it will automatically give you a tick, or it will give you an error message which saying the username already exists and you've got to choose something else. But there are a number of permutations. So the chances of you finding someone with the same username, it's possible, but I would say unlikely. It's possible, but unlikely. I wouldn't say highly unlikely. And then you basically populate all of the fields here. And once you've got everything done correctly and you've collected all of the tick marks, then you should be able to register the account. And if there is something that you've missed, and when you click the add button, it should pop up an error message and it'll direct you to the field that needs attention. Okay, let's jump ahead to this one. So now, once the account is created, you need to, in this field here, you can find the newly created distributor account, and if you need to manage this account later, you can click the user management drop-down menu and select the corresponding action. So here you can see there's actually quite a few items within the drop-down menu. You can edit the account. So if you click on that, it'll allow you to change the name. You might have done some spelling errors, or you might have put the wrong zone time in there or something like that, but you can click on it, you can change it. You can also modify the password. We've had instances where passwords were compromised, and then the distributor will come back to you and ask you, can you please modify the password for me? Or they might have forgotten it. Remember that it's a very important thing to remember. Our server cannot see passwords, even myself. We're at the top level. If anybody has forgotten their password, we cannot go into the system and see their password. We can see their username and we can remind them what the username is. But every time somebody forgets a password, we unfortunately have to go in and we have to modify the password, as you can see here. Right, and then you can add installer assistance. You can remove the account. You might have a distributor that becomes dormant, or you might discontinue working with you. Then you can obviously remove the account, or you can upgrade the account. What does upgrading the account mean? Upgrading the account is you might have an installer who picks up his sales volumes with you, and he wants to become a sub-distributor within your organization. So you can upgrade his account to a sub-distributor account. At the same time, you can also upgrade an end user account to an installer account. And trust me, we have people who believe that they are that important that they need an installer account because they read on some forum somewhere that installers have a higher level of setting access to on their system than what they have. So they believe that they need an installer account. We've also had customers who contacted us and told us that they own the right to their machine, so they want the highest level of access to their machine. So yeah, you're going to get some crazy requests, but be mindful of that and be tolerant of it. Okay, so let's go into a distributor 3 account. Who can create a distributor 3 account? A distributor 3 account is obviously created by a distributor 2. That is a sub-distributor to a sub-distributor. And you basically just follow exactly the same thing. The only difference is that obviously you're going to add a sub-distributor here, and you follow the same thing. Now, the sub-distributor account here, it has to be created from the distributor account. You can't create an account lower from you 2 steps up. It's got to be, in other words, if you want to create one below you, it's got to be from the one above. So that's quite important to remember. So, for instance, and this goes out to the guys on here who are going to be sub-distributors or a sub-distributor, so you just need to know exactly where you are in the chain for you to be able to know where to log in so that you can go down one step. Right, and this follows exactly the same process as the previous one. You simply just follow the prompt all along, you fill in all the fields with the asterisk in it, and then once you click add, it will successfully register the account for you. One of the cool things that we do, and I'm just speaking of experience here, sometimes what happens if you get a customer that buys a machine on Amazon or some drop shipping account? He gets a machine, he hasn't bought it through anybody, he's bypassed all the middlemen, and he believes that he's gone and bought it from he's bought it from the top of the tier. So when he gets to the registration point on our old version, there would be some point where it asks him for an installer code to register the account, and he doesn't have one. He will call into your office and he'll say, hey, I believe you guys do LuxpowerTek support. I bought this machine on Amazon or on Temu or wherever I bought it, and I would like to register it. So you need to tie his account to something. So you're either going to do one of two things. You're either going to give him your distributor installer code, which automatically ties that end user to you, Or what you can do is you can create a dummy installer account so that everybody that, so that you can kind of group all of the drop shipping guys under there, because they are the guys that skipped the queue, as it were. They jumped all of the installers and the profit takers along the way, and you can maybe group them all in one area. Just it's something that we do. It's not, you don't have to do it, but it's an idea. All right, and then this just basically goes through all of that. Now, the next one we come down to is the installer account. Now, remember that the installer account is critical because these guys, the installers, they are the worker bees. They are the guys that are critical to your organization. They're not the box movers, but these are the guys that go out and find the customers. They do the installations, and they are the boots on the ground. These are the guys that are either meeting with customers face to face, or as we say, they're on the cold face of the business. And they're also the guys that will come across the problems firsthand. Whenever there's a problem in the field, or if there's a problem with the machine, the first person they're going to call is the installer. So the installer account is critical. Please, whatever you do, do not be tempted to create a generic installer account. And then when you're selling to new installers, even if you think they're going to buy one machine or two or three and you'll never see them again, create an account for them, because the minute guys start sharing accounts, then it becomes messy. So it's very simple. The administrator within your organization has the power to do this. You simply log into your distributor account here, and then you go to configuration, you go to users, and you say add installer. And then when you click add installer, it's going to prompt you for all of this information once again. And once again, right here at the bottom, the most important thing is create an acronym of an installer code for him. Make it one word, one length. That's it. Not multiple words. Give it to him, and you can joke around and say you can go off to the tattoo parlor and tattoo this on your arm, because you're going to be using it for every single installation that you do, because that's what ties end users to installers via you through our server. So it's very important that that gets done. And remember, these guys are gold in our business. They're the guys that go out, they get the sales, and they're the boots on the ground. So we treat them with the greatest of respect. All right, so end users. Okay, so the end user, he's the man with the money. He's the guy that makes a decision. We are so appreciative of our end users because in the solar industry, there's a huge basket of product to choose from. And it's not an easy choice to make. It's in some cases, it might even be a grudge purchase. But the end user, or the investor, or the person that's putting the money into the system, he's the guy that's going to expect the most for his dollar. So these are the guys that we value, we value them extremely high, and we try to give them the best service delivery you can imagine. Them and the installers. Those are the two key people in our chain of our business. So the end user account, there's two ways of doing it. Now, I always make a joke in some of my videos. I will say that if when you create an end user account, don't be tempted to do it this way. You can do it this way. The only problem with it is the end user account will have no station link to it, and it will also have no dongle link to it. It'll literally just be a pigeonhole in our server with an address on there, and it says John's house. But there's no dongle reporting to it, and there's no station reporting to it. So even though this is, it's tempting, I would say don't do it this way. And the joke I make is there may be 50 ways to leave your lover, but there's only 2 ways to register an end user account. And that's either from the logged out position on the app or the logged out position on the portal, the web portal. Right, so just bear in mind, guys, if you're going to create an end user account here, that the end user account will be without a station and will be without a dongle. So that will just give you extra work to do a little bit later on. Okay, but you can do it. You can create an create an additional station here or an end user account. And then this basically tells you exactly the same thing. All of the prompts for creating accounts follow exactly the same setup. The only difference with the end user account is no request for an installer code. So here, it's quite critical to note, there's no link in the installer account. So it's just an end user. sitting in our server and waiting for somebody to come and go, right, this plant goes in there and this dongle goes in there. And then we have to link it up with well, not necessarily, we don't have to tie it to an end user, but I mean, to an installer, but, he's going to be a little orphan account. But anyway, it works. All right. So self-registration. So up until probably just recently, we could never get on our old version even if a customer he bought a machine and he tried to register the account himself, he couldn't get further than the installer code section because he didn't have one. And we get some ingenious customers. We had guys that what's the first place you go to? You hop onto Google or you go onto YouTube, right? And on YouTube, we have a number of videos that run on our channel, but we also have other independent users that have used our products, and they run through how to do it videos. And one of our customers actually published their installer code on YouTube inadvertently by filming their app. And guess what happened? A lot of people saw that and they just started using that installer code, and it got traded across the world. So careful about that, right? So you don't want, even though it's nice to have your account grow by thousands, you don't want, you're going to become responsible for those, because eventually they'll just clog. They don't clog up, but I mean the expanse of your registered users will just grow, page by page. So just be careful of that. So before the registration, the end user must record the dongle serial number and the PIN. Our stuff's printed on a box. You can have it with him, and as well as the corresponding installer code here. All right, from their maintenance account, and then they can the registration can be completed successfully after entering these details. So how to check your installer code? You can do it if you've forgotten it, or if you haven't had the tattoo done. You simply follow these steps. You log into your account, and then you go to this section here. You click on the drop down and select the user center, right? And then you should be able to see your installer code on the page here. If you're a small time, if you're an installer with low account count, in other words, where you're still on page one, if you log into your account, your account will come up first. And here you can see under the role that you can have, it will tell you who are installers and who are end users. And, we're making good time here, so I'll probably jump into a live demonstration and I'll show you how those look. It's pretty cool if you can have something that's interactive. Okay, so move this out of the way. In the user center page, you can find your own installer code. You can share this code with end users whose devices you want to manage, and they will need it during the account registration, right? So, for instance, right here at the bottom, you can see that once you click register, you create either you or the client will create a unique username and a password for themselves. They populate everything in here, and then they'll put in the installer code. Now, at this stage, I want to point out something which is pretty important. Number one, this section here, where you select the continent, it's going to be North America. The region will also be North America. Country will be Canada. And the time zone is critical. Always select the correct time zone. Don't use the default time. And I'll tell you why. Because our server clock calculates our server will put the clock time on your monitoring account as well as on the display of your machine by this time that you put in here. On our maintenance page, you can see that you can set time, but even if you change that, it will always default to the time zone created in the account. So this is important. When you're creating the account, make sure that you set the correct GMT time, right, which is the Greenwich Meridian time. Obviously, the language in English, telephone number you don't have to put. If you want to, address you don't want to put, and then this here will be critical. The installer code, which the guy had tattooed on his hand, that's important. If he doesn't have it, they won't be able to proceed beyond this point. And then that's when the call comes in. What code can I use? And then that's when we give them the generic one, the little lost child code. All right, so Creating an end user account, this is my favorite way to do it. Why? Because it allows you to, first of all, uh, register an account and do two things at the same time. Not only are you registering an account, but you're also creating a plant name and you're linking a dongle to it. So you're doing three things at once: account registration, tying a station name to it, and tying a dongle to it. And then all of this, the server, the little pigeonhole with all the information in it, all it's waiting for is it's waiting for the dongle to ping it, because it knows now, it knows which dongle's coming. So it's listening to see when is this particular dongle with this registration. The minute that signal comes in, it knows all of that information goes into this box. And that's why I like using this. It's the quickest and the easiest way to do it. All right, so once you click that register button, it's going to take you here. Please, guys, click the North America cluster. Why? Because then it'll put the station into the North America, on the North America server. Yeah, it'll create a little pigeonhole for all the mail to go in the North America server. If you choose Asia, the account's going to Asia. You can choose Africa, we'll have it down here, or you can put it in Europe. Doesn't really matter where you put it. But just remember that you, as an installer, if you've got 50 accounts and 49 of them are in North America and you've got one in Africa, when you log into your account and you see the table of all of the accounts, 49 of them will be online and one will be offline. And you go, what's wrong? I wonder why this one's offline. It simply means that the North America server cannot see it. But if you change the cluster on your app, then you change to Africa, then you will have one online and 49 offline. So it's something to get used to. So remember that here you have to select the correct cluster. There's two times that you will be requested, or you have to be vigilant of choosing the correct location. Number one, when you're registering an account, because this will put it on the correct server. And the second time, and we'll do this a little bit later in the upcoming training, when you are pairing a dongle to the Wi-Fi, the dongle will also ask you which server do I need to ping. So you have to get the two exactly the same. Don't create your account in North America and then let the dongle ping Europe. It'll ping Europe, and it'll just go there and sit on that server and wait to put its information somewhere. So just be vigilant or be aware of that. Okay, username is a unique username that you're going to create. Password, you're going to do the same thing. Follow everything through exactly the same that you do here. Here we have a handy feature where you can actually put in the PV power. You can see there's no star here or no asterisk, but it's handy for us to know, because in the table of information that we get when we view the stations, it'll actually show the tech support guys, how much PV is installed. If you do that accurately, we can also see that you might have, let's call it 10 kilowatts of PV, but only 1 kilowatts coming through, and it's the middle of the day, so either the weather's bad or something's not right. Right, and then you're going to populate the rest of this. Remember, choosing the correct region and the time zone, and then the installer code, critical. You must have it. And then the dongle serial number and the dongle pin. Is it possible to register two accounts of the same dongle? No, it's impossible. Once the dongle has been assigned to a station and a user, it automatically becomes unusable to anybody else after that. So the dongle and is unique to a station, to an end user, and the only time that you can reuse a dongle is if you request for it to be unbound. In other words, where we go and obviously just break the handshake. Okay, so that's important to remember. And then right here at the bottom, also important, very important. Tech support, remote tech support, if you accept it or reject it. What happens if somebody says, no, I'm going to reject it. I'm cool, I can get by myself. So that's fine. The server will allow you to register your station with a rejected tech support option. But the day that you call in to charge solar for tech support, what's going to happen is the tech support engineer will log into your account. He can see the maintenance. He can read the data. He can do all of that. But when he gets to the maintenance page, it's going to block him. It's going to tell him you have no access. So in that case, and we've had a few customers that have done that before. In that case, we have to contact the customer, or well, you've got him on the phone, obviously. So you have to tell him, please go into your app, go into the user section, and can you change that tech support to accepted? And the minute he accepts that, then we at admin level can log in. So even myself at the high level, I can't access accounts that have been blocked. There are some people who believe they have privacy rights and they will reject that as long as they understand they're also giving up their right to get remote tech support. Okay, so you can pretty much maybe just mail them a user manual, and that's about it. There's nothing more you can do for them, but you cannot access the system, so to speak. All right, so let's move on to the next page. And then obviously once you click register here, it should, if you've got all of the check marks selected, it will register for you. If not, go and look for the red outline, which shows you where you've made some errors. All right, so account creation via the app. Now, the app and the web portal are exactly the same. The only difference here being that we've now got a new app, we call it the new one. It looks like this. It's pretty cool, and it comes with two tones. You have the light tone and the dark tone, and it's pretty cool. It's interactive, and people, some people like it, some people don't. But I guess that if you've been doing something for a long enough time, you will get to enjoy it. All right, so the monitoring features, it's real-time monitoring for inverters and batteries. And some of our battery brands, like the LuxPower brand, you can actually do firmware updates on the battery. You've got web and app access for flexibility of control, especially if you're on the move. You've got remote configurations. You've got on-the-go updates or software updates. You've got smart alerts. Our app has push notifications. So if you enable the push notification on the app, and we'll do that in the next session, you can, I think there's 4 things that you can get push notifications for. So it's battery, number 1, obviously when the grid goes off, you can get low SOC, low voltage, and there's one more thing, but it does have push notifications. We've recently introduced AI-powered control for the time of use. Time of use, obviously, as you guys know, if you have grid tariffs that are changing, or you have peak tariffs, then you can use our AI-powered controller to make sure that you are optimized during those times. We have dry contact for starting and stopping generators, as well as running them in a cool down cycle. And another cool feature that we've added a year or two ago is our smart loads, that we'll be going through on the settings, right? And we've got the built-in Luxbot. Our page is actually becoming quite busy with all of the things that you can do, but you can actually click on a chat feature on the app. The Luxbot is pre-programmed with a knowledge base, and you can just ask it simple questions, and it'll give you handy answers in there, right? And then obviously some Q&A. Right, the new app interface. When you log into the app, you have got this new button at the bottom here, which says try the new page, and then it'll go from the old version to the new version like this, right? So that's pretty cool. I really hope that we're going to have enough time. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So I've got 5 minutes left to kind of get through this before we go to the Q&A. All right, so you can create different accounts, but only on the new version, right? You can create new accounts where you can either create a sub-distributor account, or you can create an end-user account. And the nice thing about the end-user account is that you don't need an installer code with a new app. What it does is it uses push notifications. It'll send you, once it's populated your email address in there, it will send you a code which you need to verify, a verification code. And then it will create an account for you. I'm going to ask Joe if he can possibly, during the Q&A section, if he can maybe just fill us in on how the account is tied to the installer. I think we do go through it here, but I've not done one that way yet. All right, so you can, creating an account within the app, you can, just move this out of the way. You can go through a number of features. So you can create a distributor account, you can create an installer account, and you can create an end user account. Now, there's verification required here. So for instance, you cannot make changes, or you cannot do things like without the adequate approval going through. The system is designed in such a way that there's no way to bend the rules, as it were. So if we have a look, I'm going to show you here. You have to kind of it will generate a QR code where you have to save it, and you have to once you've got it saved, you can then you can share it with your customers via email or other messaging tools, whatever the case may be, and this will allow for you to set up downstream accounts for yourself. And the other cool thing to know is that if ever any changes need to be made by downstream accounts under your account, then it will request you to the upstream account or the installer or the distributor to approve it via a push notification. Okay, so this is the part where the end user can create an account by themselves. Like I said, you click the register button, then you have the option here for an old version or new version, and you can click the end user button here. And we tried it a little bit earlier in the practice session because I've managed to link my phone so that we can have a look and see what it really looks like. So end users can register their own account without entering an installer code or a dongle serial number or PIN. They will only need to fill in the basic information and complete the registration. After registration, log into the account, tap Create Plant, and create a power plant, and then add the dongle. So remember, I told you this is 3 specific steps, where the old way was just one step. Okay, and then once that is done, if you want to link the end user's account to your installer account, please require the end user to log in and modify the account settings at the personal center. So this tells me that end users who register an account without an installer or without a distributor, it'll fall under the LuxPower account. And then for tech support, they're on their own. They either need to call they need to email the Lux support, or find a way to contact us with tech support, because I think it's going to be unfair on distributors to support clients who haven't kind of run their business through them. But that's a decision that you need to make for yourself. Okay, and then this just basically takes you through all of the steps that how distributors can do this, where they can access a user binding button on their personal center. So when an end user modifies the maintenance account for a second time and enters the installer code, a binding request will appear on your account. In other words, you cannot have people using or abusing your installer code this way. So if somebody tries to bind their account to yours, it will request you to approve it. All right, so this brings us to section 3. There's only one slide in here. We're going to talk about the different permissions that the accounts can have, right? So remember, we spoke about distributors, installers, and end users. So this little table here is going to show us what we can and who can view what. All right, so at the top here you have the distributor. The distributor can do configuration, and they can have a look at the operation records. They can do batch setting, really cool feature. I must admit, when I first tried this a few years ago, I got it wrong a few times, and eventually the server locked me out. But the cool thing about batch setting is, let's just say, for instance, you've got 10 accounts or 100 accounts as an installer, and you need to change one thing on 10 of them. So instead of logging into each one of those accounts, you can go into the maintenance section, click on the batch set tab, and then you can scroll through all your accounts and put a checkbox in each one of them that you want to change, and then copy it through. And I will show it to you in the next training video on how we do this. So you can actually select 10 out of your 50 accounts, put them in a block, and then go down to the settings. We have limited settings that you can do for batch settings, and you can check all of the settings that you want to do, and then set, and it will systematically go to all of those stations and change everything, as long as it's one similar setting for everybody. I will give you an example. Let's just say, for instance, you know that there's a storm approaching, a snowstorm or a cyclone or something happening, and you want to make sure that 10 of your clients in the affected area have their batteries charged up to full power. They might not all be acting as fast as you. So what you do is you just jump in, you become proactive, you jump on and you select those 10 accounts and you say, charge the battery to 100% and don't use it for the next 24 hours. An example. So you can, instead of panicking and trying to work through 10 accounts, you just simply select the 10, select what you want to do and hit go. The server will do it for you. LCD updates, that's pretty cool. On our interactive LCDs, which is the LXP10, the LXP12, the Gen 8s, and things like that. I think you guys only do the LXP12. It's got the interactive screen. Many of you are aware of it with a touch screen. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see in black, there's a black print. It should say LCD and then version. It'll tell you what the version of the software is on the LCD. So distributors can log into a machine and then firmware updates on inverters and batteries. You will be able to do a firmware update on the push firmware updates to the inverter, as well as push updates to the battery. If it's a LuxPower battery, you'll be able to, and you've got the dongle with the correct firmware, you should be able to do that as well. Right, installers cannot do any of this. As you can see here, none of these features they can do, but they can do firmware updates. And then end users, they're unfortunately on a read only, and there's very many, so that these features for installers they can't do, they can't even see it. It doesn't even appear on them on their monitoring, on their maintenance page, but they can do things like AC charge, discharge, and things like that. All right, so that brings me to the end of the presentation. And I'm going to have a look and see in the chat if there are any questions. Okay, so I don't see any. Has anybody,
I
can
don't
you
see
maybe?
any. I don't see any. If anybody has any
Mhm.
questions, you can type them in now, but as of now, we don't have any, Andy. So if you wanted to walk through the mobile app, feel
Okay,
free.
all right, let's do that. Let's take that off and move that out the way. So, Tatum, can you confirm that you can see the mobile app on the screen now?
I can, thank
Oh, that's cool. All right, so guys, so this is typically what the mobile app looks like. I'm currently logged into a station in Africa, and you can, if I was an installer, then I would be able to see all of my stations on the go via the mobile. I can change this to any of the servers, so you can actually see that it obviously it's going to update now. When we tried this a little bit earlier, it was also pretty slow. But you can see all of your stations. You can see which ones are online, which ones are offline, which ones have a notice on them. So, you'll be able to click on it and see exactly what the problem is. And another cool feature that we have is we have this favorites button here. It's something new that's been added. So if, for instance, you have done a new installation or there's an installation you want to keep an eye on, instead of scrolling through, 30 stations on a page, you can click on the, okay, let's do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the station, right? And it shows me the station here. Now, if I go back to my list and it remembers the last station that I'd visited. Now, what happens if I want to go to my favorites list? I just click this. It'll bring up list, but obviously I don't have any favorites in America. I've got a favorite in Africa, where I live. So let's just go to favorite here. And all of a sudden, immediately it brings up the station here on it. I don't have to go and look for the station. I don't have to search for it. I can just put it in my favorites list, and it'll automatically be there. Right. So the mobile app also gives you the option of let's start up here. We've got a plus button. What does the plus button do? The plus button adds a station. So I want you to be very careful when you're doing this. Remember that if you, as an installer, do an installation and you simply click the add station button and you populate it here. You say, I've done an installation at Bob's house, and you put Bob's house there, and you change this to North America, and you go Canada. You go through the whole process of doing all this, and you add a station. You know what it's going to do? It's going to add a station under your profile. So even though you've done a level down, it's going to add a station at your level. So then it's going to give you extra work. So remember what I said, I made a joke of it. I said, whenever you do a registration, do it from the logged out position. So you got to go here, got to go there, you log out, and you get out. And then once you logged out, this is where you do the registration down here. You're going to register your stations. They always do that because it always gives you the option of doing it the right way. Okay, so on the login screen here, we can see that we've got some buttons for remembering the username and an auto login. It's a pretty cool feature because once you open the app, it will automatically put the last used username and password in there. It'll automatically remember that. It'll automatically log in if you've got those checked, right? If you've forgotten the password, you can click it. It will prompt you to put in your email address, and then it's going to send you your forgotten password there. You can either do that or just simply phone your distributor. It's much easier to do it that way. Privacy policy, we have to check that with the new rules on the stores, on the app stores. And then at the bottom here, you've got a number of interactive buttons. Register, we know we can register stations there. Dongle Connect, we're going to go through that in the next presentation. Product warranty, this is quite a cool thing because you can use your phone's camera to scan the serial number on the side of your device and register the warranty, or you can simply put in your serial number here and click the search icon, and it will tell you what the warranty is that's left on your machine. And then we have local connect. It's also something that I'm going to show you in one of the upcoming training sessions. And we also have download firmware. Download firmware is a pretty cool feature. I know we've only got a few minutes left, but you know what's nice about this? You can imagine you had a station up in the mountains or at the lake or wherever it is, and there's no mobile reception and there's no internet connection, no Starlink, no nothing. And you need to go and do a firmware update. So you as an installer or a technician, you can sit in your office and you can click the download firmware button. But remember, this is live. I'm literally doing this right now, right? So you do that, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to look for the machine. So I'm going to Big Bear's house, and I'm going to go and update a LXP12. I just need to find it on the list. Yeah, there we go. The US. Oh, that's SNA. Where are they? Oh, there we go. So we go to the LXP12. I want to do that. And it tells me that these are all the firmware that are sitting on the server. So I simply go download, rip. Now what it does is from my mobile phone, it pings the server and asks to send it the software. So it will now download all of the firmware on. You can see it's literally happening right now. So as these marks come in, it means that the server has sent the zipped files to my mobile phone. I can then now leave. I can leave the office, get in my car, and drive up the mountain to the inverter. And when I get there, I do a local connect. And when I do a local connect, I select if I'm going to use the old TCP protocol or if I'm going to use the Bluetooth. And then I connect to the dongle. It'll ask me for the dongle. And once I've connected to it, I can then download the firmware from my mobile without any mobile network or without any internet. I can push the software to the inverter and solve the problem. Pretty cool feature. All right, Tatum. So I've got literally 5 minutes left. And you want me to put into a little bit more? You want me to go for the full hour, or you want me to? Let's have a look and see if there are any. We don't have any questions.
Yeah, I still don't see
Nothing. I
questions.
must have I
You're
must have
just
done
doing
such a great job. Nobody I
exactly,
explained it
exactly.
like you cannot believe.
You explained it all.
All right,
You
so let's
explained
jump
it
in.
all.
Yeah, yeah. So let's jump into the app. What else can we do with the app? So let's just jump into the station here. It gives you monitoring as an overview. It gives you the device, the serial number. These quadrant, this one and this one, these are interactive. If I click on it, here you can see this site today. It's dark here now, so there's no solar, as you can see. But the site yielded 21 kilowatt hours of PV today, and the total is obviously 1,420 kilowatt hours. If I click on it, it tells me for today what portion of the solar yield went to the load and which portion went to battery charging, and I can click it once more for the total. I can do the same thing here, charge and discharge. You see up here, it'll change from charge to discharge. So today, the battery discharged 2.8 kilowatt hours, and the total life discharge of these batteries was 450 kilowatt hours. And likewise, I can do the same thing for charging. And here we can see today we had feed-in energy. In other words, we never sold any energy to the grid, and we've never done anything yet. But today we did buy 8.6 kilowatt hours of power, and in total, since this inverter has been installed, it's done 501. So pretty cool, handy information to have. And at a glance, you can see exactly what's going on here. I can see what the PV is doing. I can see what the battery inverter and everything is doing. And this system is now on grid. In other words, it's not an off grid mode now. So if the grid was cut, then this line here would only run there. And a cool thing to note here is this particular installation has the PV. On the app version, you can only see the total PV. It doesn't show you string one and string two. So that's very important to note. If you want to see more information than that, you've got to go into the web portal. It's a lot more informative in that way. This here is it's an interactive button. We can start the quick charge. So for instance, if I'm on the move and I don't have any AC charging programmed, but I can see there's a bad storm coming or there's something's going to happen, some events coming that I need extra power in my battery, I can click this and it will automatically use the grid. Even if AC charge has been disabled on my settings, it will for 1 hour override that and it will force charge the battery. Like for instance, let's do it now. Here we can see the battery is sitting at this percentage here and it's discharging at the moment. If I click the quick charge button, we have to wait. It's now pinging the server and the server pings the inverter and the inverter will then start to charge. But now you'll notice that the line hasn't changed. So if I click refresh here, I'm hoping that this will work. We need to see the electrons flowing in that direction once this goes green. Hey, look at that. It works. It's now charging. Cool. Right. And then I can simply, and you see that this is orange, which means that there's an activity happening here. I can say stop charging. So let's wait for it to go green. Now, the data here hasn't changed yet, but I can refresh the screen, ping the server. Come on, do it. Okay, there we go. Now it's in the signal to the server. Please tell me what the system is doing, and it should be discharging when it goes green. There we go. How cool is that? Right, and then we have battery parameters. Now, this particular inverter is an EcoBeast. It's an all-in-one unit, which we sell here in South Africa, and it's got 10.24 kilowatt hours of LuxPower batteries. So if I click on this, it simply tells me what the battery parameters are. Pretty cool feature. As you can see, it's got batteries, battery 0 and battery 1. It gives me the serial number of the inverter, and it gives me a whole lot of information on here. Pretty cool feature to have. And this only works for Lux Power batteries. So either the Hana battery or the Lux Power battery. They're both the same thing, it's just different branding. This tells me what size the system is. This tells me what version of firmware I'm currently running. It tells me how many batteries I've got in parallel. It tells me the battery capacity and also tells me the BMS limit charge. All right, guys, with 1 minute to go, I'm going to hand over to you in the studio and you can close it off.
Thank
And
you
thank you
so
very much, guys,
much.
for everything.
Thank you so much for joining us and for the very informative presentation, Andy. We appreciate you being here. As
Yeah,
Andy mentioned at the beginning of the call, this is the first webinar in a three-part Lux PowerTech webinar series. So our next one is on Thursday, November 13th. It is the practical guide to Genport and parallel configuration. And then we have another one on Tuesday, November 25th, which is basic troubleshooting and working modes. Thank you, everyone who attended today as well. And as a reminder, you will receive this webinar recording within a few days, and it will also be posted to our YouTube channel. So I'm just popping the link to our YouTube channel in the chat there, and you'll be able to find this recording there as well. Thanks again, Andy. I
that's
don't see
great.
any questions come through, so you did a
I've done a good
fantastic
job.
job. Yeah,
Must have.
and we'll see you on November 13th.